car. And when you call it in, we need
The
to
Duluth
know
State
what
Patrol
the
hasn't
car is
received
doing
any
that
phone
made
tips
you
on potential
feel
drunk
that
drivers
you should
since the
call it
Dial
into
911
911.
campaign began.
Don't attempt-
And other dispatch offices across the state report receiving only a handful of calls.
Been working the past several nights and through the 4th and haven't received any reports of any suspected drunk drivers by the 911 system. And I haven't heard my partners get any either, so I don't think we received any calls to the best of my knowledge during the shifts I've been working.
Thousands of Minnesota tax dollars have been pumped into this campaign with hopes of getting people involved in making the state's highways safe. Public service announcements like this have been part of the media blitz.
If you see a driver that's driving drunk or in a dangerous manner, don't attempt to stop him yourself. Don't try to make a citizen's arrest. Call 911 or call it in on your CB.
There have been a number of speculations as to why the public response has been so poor.
They might say that, well, if I call in now, they'll be long gone and they'll never catch them. The key is if you make, in this case, a trooper aware that a problem might be passing through his particular area, or maybe you'll hit it just right and there'll be a trooper right next to the spot that you call in. Take that chance.
Trying to find a phone, maybe repercussions from the person that could be stopped later on, if it was that type of person. Not knowing if there's going to be a patrolman around, not wanting to trouble anybody with having to come out, not too sure, I suppose, if that person is weaving a little bit because they dropped a cigarette on the floor, if they're actually drunk. Could be any number of reasons why they would want to call.
Cracking down on drunk drivers has become a national pastime, and authorities say projects like this help keep it that way.
In the end, that's what we all want. It's going to make our roads a little bit safer to travel, and that's the ultimate goal. A death-free holiday weekend. Is that really so much to ask?
The public is already aware of dialing 911 in case of emergency, but now, coupled with Project Lifesaver, you can dial 911 anytime and put the finger on a drunk or dangerous driver. Catherine O'Keefe, Channel 3 News.
It's an age-old battle between private citizens and the federal government. This time it's about Little Long Island, about 12 miles off Ashland's shoreline. The Fed wants to make this island part of the Apostle Islands National Lake Shore, and the endangered birds that make this their home, including the piper plover, are helping the Fed.
What really makes Long Island special is the fact that in the whole Great Lakes system we have about 10,000 miles of shoreline. Of that shoreline, only about 5 to 10 miles is suitable for the piping plover because it needs undeveloped sandy shorelines. Long Island has about 1 mile of a sandy, undeveloped shoreline. For this reason, it is a very special place in the whole Great Lakes system.
The island also has historical significance.
Back in 1660, Radisson and Grossier were the first white men ever to stay on the island. It also, in 1852, the first lighthouse was built there on Long Island, the first lighthouse in western Lake Superior. It really served as a hub for the fur trade for many years and was important with the missionaries.
The birds are backed by many environmental groups, and in Washington, Senators Proxmire and Caston and Representative Obey. The Fed owns half the island, Ashland County 1/3, and the remaining 1/6 belongs to a handful of private citizens. Under proposed legislation, which has already passed the House, the private citizens could continue on their land, but they couldn't pass it on and would have to sell it eventually to the government. John Syvertson, like other property owners, doesn't want to part with his land at any cost.
It's a family heirloom, really. It's been in our family for close to 85 years, and that's the way we feel about it. It's ours.
The property owners use the land strictly for hunting and fishing and just relaxing, and they feel they don't disturb the piping plover.
Well, as far as the land is concerned, I think it's retained its wild status very good under my family. We've done all we could to keep it wild. Outside of the little area where we have the cabins, and they're all in one small area up there, the property is just like it was when we attained it.
Both the federal government and private property owners have strong claims. Tonight at 10, I'll look at what the property owners are doing to save their land and government efforts in Washington. In Bayfield, Kathleen Chalikian, Channel 3 News.
Much of the housing available in the city of Duluth is old. And even though many of the homes are graceful and well preserved, many are not. Currently, there are nearly 7,000 houses that need major repair, and that's making it harder for lower and middle income families to find places to live.
In the most basic terms, it means more and more people are having to pay more and more of their income for less quality housing.
Declining federal funds are probably the biggest problem. For every $19 the government spent in 1980, it now spends $1.
Clearly, we can't rely to the same extent as we have in the past on federal and state programs for housing resources. And if we don't do something ourselves in the local community, then we're going to have a very irreversible problem in the years down the road.
These problems are why city councilors recently set up the Duluth Housing Trust. When it's formed in August, the nonprofit agency will actively seek funding to give to other housing agencies which are currently operating. It's hoped the trust will be able to make up for lost federal dollars by going after state, local, and private monies.
We want to see that everybody can achieve affordable, decent housing, and we think that the Housing Trust Fund will help to achieve that goal.
But before that goal can be reached, the city will need a number of volunteers to sit on the board of the Housing Trust. After that, they'll have the harder job of raising the money to make the program work. John Schottel, Channel 3 News.
This elementary school in Tofty has been closed now since April, and these citizens want it reopened.
Our plans are to turn the building itself over to the community, to turn it into a community center and a conference facility. We would have a public library, a senior center, West End Children's Center, which is a preschool program. We're looking at a health clinic, and we're also looking at using it for a conference facility for fundraising, doing conferences, seminars, and so forth here to generate revenue to help support the building.
Townspeople like Ted Tofty hope these plans are successful, and he says they will fight to see that they are.
We resist the idea of just throwing up our hands and saying, okay, let it go. We aren't ready to let it go.
The Cook County School Board says reopening the building as a community center is a good idea, but board members say so far the plans are just too vague.
I have felt a frustration in not knowing exactly who we're dealing with. We have never gotten a specific plan from them. And actually what's happened now in the last couple of weeks is probably the most specific we've gotten. My hope is that by the action that we've just taken, we can explore some more specifics.
Crosby says as soon as more specifics are proposed by the community, he'd like to start working together toward opening the school. But he says it probably won't happen anytime soon. In Tofte, Linda Hammond, Channel 3 News.
Yesterday morning's explosion killed a Mounds View woman and her daughter and also injured a newspaper carrier while he was making deliveries. It happened when a Williams Company natural gas pipeline ruptured and exploded, sending a stream of fire down a Mounds View street. Several smaller explosions occurred in the city's sewer system, causing manhole covers to pop off and the pavement above to crack and melt. Eyewitnesses say flames could be seen shooting 30 feet into the air. The city held a news conference this morning to announce it's conducting a criminal investigation into the blast and have taken custody a piece of pipe removed from the scene. Officials from the National Transportation Safety Board were at the meeting, along with representatives from the Federal Office of Pipeline Safety. No other details were released on what form the investigation might take.
These geese don't know it yet, but they're heading into a trap. Not a dangerous one, but a trap that will help wildlife officials find out more about them. These are Canada geese that migrate to the St. Louis River from Missouri every year around June 1st. 2 years ago, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service started tagging the birds.
We get a lot of information from the bands. Of course, we don't get that unless we recover a band, but we're able to keep tabs of individual birds as well as the population in general. If it is a hunted species such as Canada geese, eventually we're able to have enough banded birds that we can determine survival rates and harvest rates when hunters return the bands to us.
Banding isn't always an easy process because the initial capture can be a challenge, but wildlife officials know how to handle the birds with care.
At this time of the year, because they're molting, we have to be very careful not to injure them with the new feathers that are coming in. So the best way of handling waterfowl for banding in general is to try and get their head under their wing, which keeps them a lot calmer than any other method.
Besides banding the birds, officials take various measurements to determine what variety of Canada geese these are. Measurements show these are the giants, the largest of the species. After it's all over, the geese are put in burlap bags and brought to the edge of the river. From there, they're on their own until next year. Lisa Molosky, Channel 3 News.
This is what the computerized bingo terminal looks like. The game is played on a touch-sensitive screen. The terminal is connected to this master computer, and that's what conducts the bingo session. It's the first computerized bingo system in the world.
It's going to make a much easier situation for people to play. It provides us with a lot better way of providing the gift packages and money packages and jackpots. It gives us a whole new spectrum of what we can do with bingo that could never be done before.
Playing computerized bingo is the luxurious way to play. You don't even have to get out of your chair to get a drink or a snack. Just push a button and the waitress will come to your terminal.
In traditional bingo situations, it's difficult to even have a sandwich and play bingo, much less a cocktail and play bingo. In this type of situation, because of the ease of play and the speed of play, people can enjoy themselves, they can talk, they can have a cocktail, they can have a sandwich, and still keep up with the game.
The whole facility, however, won't be computerized. Traditional bingo players can play here on another level. This new computerized high-tech bingo casino will open its doors on August 1st. Officials are expecting the system alone will bring in almost $2 million for the reservation each year. Near Tower, Linda Hammond, Channel 3 News.
A walk through the paper mill site today revealed few signs of Gino Pellucci's victory in court, but the building that's threatened by the construction around it will not be demolished this Saturday as originally planned. St. Louis County District Judge Charles Barnes today ruled that the Chungking plant will have to stand until the state Supreme Court can hear Pellucci's appeal of Duluth's claim to his property. Pellucci will also be required to post a $100,000 bond. But officials with Lake Superior Paper Industries say that's only a fraction of the amount they wanted the industrialists to put up.
In the range of $42 million. And it was really that level that we thought reflected some equity in providing an insurance to both parties, that is, our company and the public here in Duluth.
LSPI Vice President Jack Lavoie says the delays caused by the Chungking litigation are taking their toll.
I suppose there is a point in time where if this were to continue, that it could cause some real concern for our company and the parent firms involved in this project.
Construction on the paper mill site is moving along at the same breakneck pace as the legal battles surrounding it. But we won't know if this work has gone to waste until the state Supreme Court hears Gino Palucci's appeal next week. John Schottel, Channel 3 News.
Yeah, we'll just do it.
Earlier this afternoon, reunion goers got an earful listening to a jam session with music of all eras. Just another event for people to remember when and remember who.
We've seen people that we wouldn't otherwise see ever again.
While some were remembering who, others were meeting the new.
I graduated in '31, so there wasn't too many that I know, but I got acquainted with some of the other ones.
The mood swung into high gear later at the arena with dancing to the sounds of the Tommy Dorsey Orchestra.
I've had a ball. It's been wonderful. I really praise these people that have taken the time to do all this because it's wonderful.
Organizers say when this two-week event comes to an end later tonight, various fundraising events will have to begin. But even though the reunion is expected to be $250,000 in the hole, visitors say it was well worth every penny in the black and even in the red. Linda Hammond, Channel 3 News.
Like most of the 31 city parks that stretch from Fond du Lac to the north shore of Lake Superior, the Duluth Parks and Recreation Department didn't have to do a lot to improve the natural beauty of Brighton Beach. But there have been some rather subtle changes here over the past few months. Improved picnic areas, a new blacktop road, and other appointments could go unnoticed amid the breathtaking beauty here. But city officials say it's all part of a comprehensive plan to make the best even better.
It's a case of rediscovering what's already here. It's fun from our point of view because we don't have to go in and build new parks.
Although Brighton Beach only accounts for a minute portion of the city's 12,000 acres of public parks, its rugged coastline appeal is a marked contrast to the subtle beauty of Congdon and Leicester parks, and is a favorite meeting place for hungry seagulls and youngsters bearing gifts. This classic combination of old and new continues to attract visitors from throughout the United States to places like this, and it's been that way for more than 50 years.
The WPA built well, and the things that are beautiful in Duluth really go back to that time. And then I think, there was a period where the parks and those WPA work was allowed to drift. And now I think what we're seeing is that a renewal. And they're works of art. They've lasted 50-some years. The people that worked on those jobs back then have got to be given a pat on the back.
It's been said that imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. And that's certainly the case with the way the current city administration is upgrading Duluth's park system. In the coming weeks, we'll be heading west, where places like Anger Tower, Park Point, and Lincoln Park are undergoing some spectacular changes. Jeff Potts, Channel 3 News.
Because it's a two-lane, driving on Highway 53 has always been dangerous, and due to an increase in traffic, Wisconsin State Highway Patrol officials say it's not getting any better.
It's a two-lane area that has numerous hills and no passing zones, and primarily that's the major problem, is the no passing zones.
And of course, speed. Speed is always a factor.
Patrol officials say animals running out in front of motorists is a problem also. In fact, last year, 39 of the 97 accidents on Highway 53 were caused by animals, but the majority are still caused by narrow road. It's this stretch from Spooner down to Hagen that's considered the most dangerous. Last year, 3 people died on what Wisconsin State Highway Patrol officials refer to as the bottleneck of Highway 53. But this part of Highway 53 is being converted to a 4-lane expressway. Completion date is set for sometime in 1988. Officials just hope that someday the entire 2-lane portion of Highway 53 will be changed to 4 lanes. In Spooner, Linda Hammond, Channel 3 News.
Right now we're grading the road.
Duluth's Convention Center Board has a very complicated task in front of it. It's commissioned this man, Joseph Buslovich, to come up with the specifications architects will use to design the $16 million convention center. But he's relying on a study from these two Chicago consultants, and the city has written a letter criticizing the conclusions of all three men. The most publicized has been their decision not to include the William A. Irvin ore boat in the design of the convention center.
But the ore boat, very definitely. If you got restaurants and the ore boat and museums and other things, you increase the reasons for people coming up here, and that's always important. But it should not, it's the supportive thing. It should not be the end unto itself. The end unto itself is the convention and business, conference business, and you need the facilities designed for that.
Nick Turkla and Lloyd Graven answered a number of questions raised by the city's letter, but they also have their own concerns.
Consultants say they're not as worried about what's in the letter as they are about the fact that the city even sent it. They're concerned that it might show prospective convention center clients that all of Duluth isn't behind the project.
From a marketing point of view, we think it's better if the city's policies and the Visitors Convention Bureau policies and the policies of the committee here at the Auditorium Arena are really one and the same. In short, they should all be marching to the same drumbeat.
But members of the convention board feel that there isn't a significant rift between themselves and the city.
I think clearly we've locked horns on a few issues from time to time, but no, I don't think so. I think clearly he's identified something based on interviews he's had with various groups, and I think that his words of caution will be well taken by everybody, but I don't feel there's division, but sometimes maybe a little additional coordination may be required.
In spite of all this, the Convention Center Board is continuing its task, and they hope to hand architects a list of specifications within a month. John Schottel, Channel 3 News.
Well, there's no question. When you have people in the area, of course, business is going to pick up, but it's going to be good for the college kids. It's going to be good for the local kids around here. There is absolutely no industry in this county. Can I say the words?
Call it the Dumont Economic Index, if you will. George Dumont runs a resort near Telemark Lodge in Cable. And for him, the 227 residents of this community, the sale of Telemark to Norwood's Group for about $5 million is very good news. Dumont measures the economic health of his community by business for resort owners and jobs for young people. Most others in the area are also happy that Telemark will probably open soon.
A lot of my friends will go back to work, and for this area, it'll bring a lot of extra people in because we survive on tourism, and without Telemark, our tourism is way down.
Out here at the lodge, just west of Cable, these grounds could see business again in as early as 2 weeks. The lodge has been doing poorly for 2 years since the former owner, Tony Wise, filed for bankruptcy. All sections of the resort, except for the golf course, had to be closed in April because Telemark had no operating capital. Dumont says it'll take time, though, before the local economy gets back to where it was about 2 years ago.
Not overnight. Not overnight. We've had some bad press, there's no question about it. And I think the people that bought it now know what they're doing. They have other places, so I can't see anything but within a year good thing happening to our area.
The residents may have to wait a year before the town returns to normal, but it's downhill for local businessmen and workers too now. In Cable, Kathleen Chalikian, Channel 3 News. This is the start of a 26-mile stretch of old Burlington Northern Track being converted into a snowmobile trail. A private contractor is now removing the old track and the ties.
Well, we're plowing the ties off to the side of the track here. And we do about a mile in 1 hour.
After this, the surface will be smoothed and widened if necessary to 14 feet before gravel is put down. A Tri-County Commission formed a year ago is behind turning this otherwise useless strip into recreational land. Douglas County Supervisor Dave Dumke has been a part of this effort. He says that once the land is cleared, BN will turn over the property to the Commission for further development.
And we're waiting now for this contract for what's happening right today to be completed. When that's completed, then within 30 days the land will transfer over to the Commission, and at that point we can start doing some things.
The Commission then has to raise about $150,000 to fix the bridges along this route and put up signs. It's a lot of money for a snowmobile trail, but in the summertime it can also be used for all-terrain vehicles. Once this trail is completed, it's estimated each traveler will spend about $100 a day, money that will especially boost winter tourism. Near Superior, Kathleen Chalikian, Channel 3 News.
I don't think you can point to a case where in any state a Supreme Court has acted more expeditiously. And we'll bear that in mind. I can't make any promises, but certainly we intend to get this case out as quickly as it's possible.
Chief Justice Lawrence Yetka wasn't kidding when he made those remarks this morning. It took the Minnesota Supreme Court only a few hours to come up with a ruling that favored the city of Duluth and Lake Superior paper industries. Palucci's Chungking plant is now slated for destruction to make way for a paper mill. And that was the outcome Palucci's lawyers fought bitterly against.
They've condemned a plant that can coexist with another plant. The public good would be advanced. It's compatible. They both pay taxes. They both employ people. Not one of Duluth's so-called public purposes that they list in their brief would be in any way other than advanced with this plant to remain.
Judges made certain the two plants couldn't exist on the same site.
And I don't think any of us are unaware of the economic conditions up there. Can it ignore those possibilities?
And after the fact, and after the design, and after the decision was made to use this particular 92-acre site, not the steel plant site, then the idea of cutting back the site was proposed 3 months after the fact. And the paper mill looked at it, and the testimony in the record is that the paper mill concluded that it could not coexist with the Chungking building.
And the city fell back on its original argument. Duluth needs the paper mill for economic development.
The paper mill is a long-term permanent addition to Duluth's economy. It's over $300 million. It has expansion plans into the 21st century. It is large, it is expensive, it is not easily moved or relocated. Mr. Palucci promises, and that's it as at this time, a business similar to the two that he already started in Duluth, Chungking and Gino's Inc. They're not in Duluth now.
Gino Palucci says his options to appeal beyond this point are very limited, but he doesn't plan on giving up.
Well, I've never been known to stop. And good Lord willing, I'll just keep on going, one way or the other.
Officials at Lake Superior Paper Industries say work will begin as soon as possible. It'll take a few days to clear some of Palucci's property out of the site, and asbestos removal will have to be done. but the wrecking ball could be hitting this building by early next week. John Schottel, Channel 3 News.
She started as a 20-foot-high, 200-year-old white pine and has been sawed, chopped, and chiseled down to a 17-foot beauty. Her name is Minnesota Liberty, and her tablet bears the date of her birth, May 11th, 1858, the date Minnesota became a state. Her creator figures by the time it's completely finished, Minnesota Liberty will have taken him about 2 months to complete.
June 24th, I got the log, started debarking it and marking it out and cutting it about the next day. I started with a chainsaw and then some work with a two-man saw to remove a great big block. See, otherwise you got to go in from one side and then another, and the point might come through and cut through the arm. So, but with a two-man saw you can do it in one cut.
Steve Dow has been carving in Orr, Minnesota for 10 years and has done some very intricate work before, but he says Minnesota Liberty is his biggest challenge.
Difficult part is getting the guts to start it and to make a cut that could be a mistake in a log that already cost about, $500 to get the log, see.
Dow says Minnesota Liberty was modeled after the Statue of Liberty, but says he didn't attempt an exact likeness. He used pictures to help guide him. This is the last day Minnesota Liberty will stand in Orr. She's being shipped to Minneapolis tomorrow to serve as the focal point of the Minneapolis Aquatennial. In Orr, this is Lisa Molosky, Channel 3 News.
Okay, take out and you'll have you down. Okay, John, stop right there. Put him back down. Reach. Okay, Paul. John, against him. Rolling. Hold. Okay, try. How can you tell they're does? Do they say something on them?
Were they from another lot or something?
From another lot, right there where the phone right there, I think back to you see nothing from the phone underneath the case. I don't know. Number of windows, how much it cost, the whole shebang. I usually end up in that there. I'm not supposed to spy on that there as long as I'm here. But I go down the state.
Does the buyer pick their own card?
Yeah, you take my box orders.
Do so. But I will not attend another meeting until this is completely investigated, until there is a public, and I mean this, I expect Mr. Braun to apologize to each member of this board and to the executive director. When he does that publicly, then I'll come back to another meeting. Until then, you won't see me at this meeting again. Thank you. And by the way, the press certainly may have a copy of this letter.
Airport Authority Vice President Al Amatuzio ended today's meeting before it even started. Allegations made by Duluth City Councilman Richard Braun during an interview to reappoint an airport board member had a chilling effect. And amidst the empty dishes of an 8:30 breakfast meeting that didn't get called to order hung the shadow of Braun's charges. The councilor contends that the Airport Authority Board is a rubber stamp for John Grindon, the facility's executive director, giving little discussion to proposals which are blindly approved. But the man accused doesn't agree.
Well, certainly in the years I've been here, this Airport Authority has never rubber stamped anything that I do.
I've had people ask me that, are we a rubber stamped board, you know? And I guess I have gone home frustrated a number of times that certain questions haven't been asked and things that I felt should be looked into or, you know, just haven't been done. And things went too smoothly. You know, I find it awfully hard that we smoothly go through every meeting, but that's just my opinion.
Braun says that the same bids have been let to the same vendors for many years.
As far as our contracts go, I have heard that there was an allusion by Councilor Braun that large contracts were let improperly. This is absolutely not true, and I think a libelous statement.
The same person, as I followed the minutes, has been plowing snow for the Airport Authority. Shouldn't that be bid every year? Shouldn't that be rotated? This is public money. Shouldn't other people get an opportunity at that? Or do you bid it once and then the same person does the job for the next 10 years?
And he says the airport's executive director is a silent partner of the manager of the city's Sky Harbor Airport on Park Point.
I don't know where that comment came from. I am not a silent partner with anyone. I work solely for the Duluth Airport Authority, and I think that is a libelous statement.
When asked if he might consider legal action for any of those potentially libelous statements, Grindon said he had no comment. Whether or not they're actually true is another matter. Braun says he has little evidence to back them up, but his concerns have a valid base.
Well, my concerns come from more than rumors. It's tying the rumors together and reading a heck of a lot of minutes and talking to previous board members that have a lot of concerns. So it isn't just based on the rumor mill.
John Schottel, Channel 3 News. One Airport Authority board member says Vice President Al Amatuzio made a bad move when he walked out of yesterday's meeting.
I don't think now is the time for those overreactions. I think now is an important time during this overall process where it's time for the authority members to get together and to discuss exactly what the allegations are, you know, to discuss the specific nature of those charges, and if those charges have merit, let's deal with them, and if they do not have merit, let's dispel all of the rumors.
Duluth City Councilman Richard Braun says Airport Executive Director John Grindon may be involved in a silent partnership with one of the airport's operators. He also contends that the authority's board of directors acts as a rubber stamp for Grindon and that there is evidence of improper bid letting. Roberts doubts all of those charges are true, but there's just cause to investigate the operations of the Airport Authority.
There are some concerns that I have insofar as the budget for the authority. We really don't have a comprehensive budget, and in my mind we should. I was out of town one week, and that was when Butler Aviation, for example, closed up their shop, and that's when North Country Aviation took over. That basically happened on a real fast track, and I was pretty upset about that. I had no knowledge of North Country Aviation. I had no idea of what their track record was, and that basically happened in my mind, a 24 to 48 hour period.
Today, Roberts wrote a letter to Amatuzio asking him to call the board back together to discuss the charges. He says the Airport Authority owes the public an investigation.
And first of all, if we have an investigation and there is some merit to what Councilor Braun is alleging, we will swiftly deal with those to make them right. If there is no merit in what the allegations are, I think that will show the Airport Authority that we ourselves have been doing our job. It'll show the City Council that we're on top of things, and it'll show the public that they should have no alarm or no concerns insofar as the Airport Authority.
But Amatuzio says he won't act until the board's president returns from vacation sometime next week. John Schottel, Channel 3 News.
This is the site of the old Interlake Iron Company along the St. Louis River. Right now, it's contributing carcinogens and poisonous chemicals into Lake Superior. Not far away, Erie Pier. The dredge here came from Lake Superior and contains PCBs, DDT, lead, and other heavy metals originally from Wisconsin streams. And this area is near Lake Superior Paper. also the site of the former Union Compressed Steel, which dumped solvents here years ago. Rain carries the lead and PCBs here into the lake. Superior is the cleanest of the Great Lakes. Though the level of some chemicals is way down and the lake looks clean, many pollutants still find their way into this body. Tonight, the international organization, Great Lakes United, which reviewed the area today, will hold hearings about toxic waste cleanup.
The reason we're holding these hearings now is that there's an international water quality agreement between the U.S. and Canada that comes up for review early next year. These hearings and this tour is the public's opportunity to have input to that process.
The GLU formed in 1983 to help smaller anti-pollution groups get the Great Lakes cleaned up. Following a 1978 agreement between Canada and the U.S., their goal is zero pollution. While there are many examples of toxic dumping all along the Great Lakes shoreline, not all can be blamed on local industry and cities.
We've heard a lot about acid rain. Now there's toxic rain, which people don't seem to have paid attention to. And that is that toxic substances from very far away, for example, we're finding pesticides used in the southern U.S. are being found in this lake. And that's because they're going into the air, they come up all the way in the air currents, rain makes them come out into the lake.
After tonight's hearing, the GLU will hold 16 more hearings. Then they'll present a report to the U.S. and Canadian governments. They say, though, what they need is not just a new agreement, but city-by-city cooperation. Kathleen Chalikian, Channel 3 News.
The petitioners claimed the Brazilian government is hurting U.S. steel companies by directly subsidizing Brazilian ore producers. The ITC ruled against that claim, saying the petitioners didn't prove subsidizing is occurring or that it's injuring domestic steel producers.
It's a ruling that could only have been handed down by 5 blind mice.
The ruling was a major blow to domestic steel producers who had hoped the Reagan administration would establish import quotas or tariffs with the Commission's consent. Instead, the steel companies are now faced with having to compete with millions of tons of Brazilian ore without restraints, a seemingly impossible task considering Brazilian workers earn in 1 day what American workers earn in 1 hour.
That ore will find its way into the world marketplace, and there'll be a tremendous pressure on our industry. As if we don't have enough already.
And Brazil isn't the only country domestic companies are worried about. The ruling reinforces the concern that many foreign steel companies will now flood the American market.
The big problem isn't what happened yesterday or today. The problem is that it opened up the whole world to ship in and supply us with steel and iron ore with no limitation.
While the ITC ruling can be appealed, it's doubtful that will happen. But American steel companies plan to keep fighting, saying they've just lost another battle in the bigger war of trying to maintain America's dying steel industry. Kurt Ludlow, Channel 3 News.
After several weeks of well-chronicled court delays, construction crews were finally able to begin clearing land within the 18-acre tract formerly owned by Gino Paolucci today. A 3-member team of court-appointed commissioners toured the building in order to determine its current market value. That dollar figure will be filed with the clerk of court soon. Another team of officials, these representing the city, Lake Superior Paper Industries, and Rust Engineering, met to discuss the timetable for demolishing the building today, but any final determination won't come until next week. Meanwhile, Paolucci, maintaining his federal due process rights were violated by the city in acquiring the property, has filed a $5 million suit against the city. Attorneys representing Duluth say they have no knowledge of such a lawsuit. In any event, it now appears that demolition of the building is imminent, although legal questions regarding value and due process could keep the legal community busy for quite some time. Jeff Potts, Channel 3 News.
These little sapphires of Mother Nature are wild blueberries, and this weekend is the start of the peak picking season in both northern Wisconsin and Minnesota. And Iron River, Wisconsin is the official blueberry capital of the United States, so decreed 47 years ago. The blueberries are a lot harder to find this year, even here in Iron River. Because of a late frost, there are fewer good patches, but the berries are sweet and well worth looking for. Here in Iron River, they're getting ready for the 48th annual Blueberry Festival this weekend.
The wild blueberries are sweeter usually than the domestic. They are a little bit smaller, but they're well worth the effort to go out and get.
It'll be a blueberry lover's delight with blueberry muffins, blueberry turnovers, not to mention blueberry pies and blueberry malts. What's the big seller? What do people like?
Definitely the pies.
Definitely the pies.
Yes, everybody likes pie.
If you're still bent on picking wild berries, though, the best places are actually in Minnesota, along the Gunflint Trail near Grand Marais and in General Andrews State Park, 45 miles southwest of Duluth. In Iron River, Kathleen Chalikian, Channel 3 News.
When Gino Palucci came out of the Supreme Court chambers this morning, he said he'd been treated fairly by the 6 justices, but he regretted the legal battle had to be carried this far.
To know that our plant is being possibly taken away and the right to have a business is being taken away, make anybody sad, especially when I've made a promise to the people of Duluth to return those jobs that I had to take away when we moved Gino's.
The industrialist says he doesn't hold any hard feelings towards Duluth, and he doesn't plan on breaking any ties.
No, it's been good to me. It's our winter home. I love Duluth, and just because something like this happens doesn't just want you to say, well, to hell with it, I'm going someplace else.
But Gino says he's not ready to walk away from the paper mill battle, even though his case has been turned down in federal court on one occasion and his building will be demolished soon. He isn't giving up.
Well, I've never been known to stop. And good Lord willing, I'll just keep on going, one way or the other.
John Schottel, Channel 3 News.
For almost a decade, the Ashland JCs have put on the cow chip throwing contest to everyone's enjoyment, but no one is quite sure why. Maybe it's the way they fly that makes them such a hit. The man who makes the Frisbee cow chips claims they are USDA Grade A choice.
No, we get it from the local farmers. We try to give everybody a chance to get the best stuff.
Cow chip throwing might look easy, but it's not. Some spectators get more than an eyeful, but those who are good at throwing it around consider it a real art.
It's all in the selection of your chip.
It may be hard to believe that people pay good money to get their hands on the stuff, but they do, and they love it.
Fun, gotta have fun. That's what this is all about, Bay Days.
A trophy goes to the champion chip thrower, and free pizza goes to other category winners. Some people will do just about anything for a free meal. In Ashland, Catherine O'Keefe, Channel 3 News.
Trying to carry through here. You've got to get on the ball and watch what you're doing in the state legislature.
Representative,
the vote isn't the issue.
We do understand the point that you're making.
Seem as though you do.
Minnesota lawmakers are upset that the money they've allotted to construct a convention center was used to buy and restore the William A. Irvin ore boat. They don't like the discretion convention center board members are using to allocate funds. Today, the board tried to clarify their actions.
No one would criticize that same expenditure, as Marcia said in the meeting, if we were doing it for a fountain or a statue. They just somehow, because the Irvin is so different from the usual attraction at a facility such as this, people are taking issue with it.
Board members are trying to make an issue that the Irvin is not a white elephant, but will be a beacon to convention goers as an added attraction.
People spend a lot of money on making a statement, whether it's a statue or sculpture, whatever. In this particular case, the statement is the ore carrier. The fact that it is generating $2,000 a day net revenue back to the convention center is just a tremendous plus. My particular point to Representative Boo was we're not selling any tickets to tour the existing facility. We're selling a lot of tickets, about 2,200 to 2,300, to go through the ore carrier.
Some lawmakers are still afraid that the issue may cause problems for other projects that Duluth wants to be state-funded. But Senator Solon said the blame shouldn't fall on convention board members.
I don't want people here to think that that the zoo is going to be an easy appropriation, and if for some reason we didn't get it, don't blame it on the convention center. It's just because we've got some Neanderthal-thinking people down in St. Paul.
It's no secret that convention centers lose money, but the idea behind the ore boat Irvin is to offset some of the deficits that plague convention centers. And so far, all indications show that the boat has the potential to be a moneymaker. Catherine O'Keefe, Channel 3 News.
The aerial lift bridge and Enger Tower are without a doubt Duluth's two most visible landmarks. And while the aerial bridge has grown into the state's most popular tourist attraction, Enger Park did not enjoy that type of notoriety, primarily because of its long-standing reputation as a gathering place for vandals and late-night beer parties. But that trend is changing now, thanks to the ongoing effort to rebuild the city's park system.
So we went in, we cleaned the tower off, took off all the graffiti, we cleaned up the broken bottles, the broken glass that seemed to occur every Monday morning after a weekend celebration of one sort or another. And then we started looking at the grounds and how we were going to kind of bring the grounds back at the same level of quality that we felt the tower represented.
What followed has been a gradual transformation into what surely must be some of the best of what Duluth has to offer.
If you had to put a dollar value on the flowers, it's very minimal. It's a lot of loving care by people that work for us year in and year out.
City crews and volunteers have spent much of the summer clearing brush and enlarging the park, taking advantage of the unique geographical opportunities.
You're a few steps away from a totally different perspective of Duluth. Very passive down here. As you walk up the tower and view from top, just dramatic and very bold and strong. So it's kind of indicative of the community, I think.
Next Monday evening, we'll be heading towards Park Point, where another city park is in the midst of an impressive transformation. Jeff Potts, Channel 3 News.
The county board has already said that there's going to be a $6.7 million deficit or a shortfall coming in September. County contracts have not been settled for the employees. And we're looking at spending this kind of money on a bricking project? No.
It was an argument the county board has heard before, but today commissioners looked past it, voting 4-3 to spend $300,000 to help brick Priley Drive. The money will be borrowed from the city and repaid over 10 years, interest-free.
This $300,000 expenditure for $30,000 a year for 10 years, no interest-free rather, is the best business deal I've come across in my lifetime, and I've been a businessman most of it.
But not all commissioners agreed, so Mayor John Fido told board members if they didn't approve the money, the city would likely assess the county for some of the improvements anyway, improvements like needed sewer repair. Other commissioners said they could see approving money for that, but not for bricks.
It's not a necessary project. It's not something that we have to spend money on. I have been hard-pressed to find anybody in this community that has supported bricking and spending $900,000 to beautify the Civic Center.
What you just heard was testimony from representatives of the Downtown Development Group as well as the Chamber of Commerce, both endorsing the projects. So your broad brush at indicating that you're hard-pressed to find anybody in this community to support it, apparently you weren't listening to those folks.
Besides bricks, the plans call for repair of deteriorating utilities, sidewalks, curbs, and the addition of landscaping and lighting. The county board still has to give final approval to the plans on Monday. Once that's done, city engineers say bids will be let and construction could begin by September. Priley Drive bricking project is scheduled to be finished by next summer. Kurt Ludlow, Channel 3 News.
Councilor Braun says the state auditor's report makes one thing clear. There need to be changes at the airport authority.
It really is a foundation of my original statement of questioning the authority because they haven't elected officers in 2.5 years. They don't deal with their budget. They don't have a policy manual. And it makes one wonder if it's just a rubber stamp board.
Although the audit doesn't find any evidence of wrongdoing, it does point out some areas where the airport's management is weak. It cites examples where records for federal construction projects and grants have been kept improperly.
And some bidding contracts have been discarded completely.
Does it say here that they found those documents that were not kept for 3 years?
That's correct, and you should address that question to the city purchasing office. Quite clearly it says the Duluth purchasing office has been instructed to save these bids. The purchasing office did not save them, not the airport authority. And it seems to me that your questioning is again from, you haven't read this report.
In one case, auditors said a bid for Airport Director John Grinden's car was written so selectively that only a Buick could have filled the order. The report says the specifications excluded 7 bidders.
I've had many phone calls from cleaning service people, oil people that sell oil products that just don't get an opportunity to bid. Another gentleman from Road Machinery that said the specs were written so tight he just couldn't bid. And those people have a concern that you can't bid and be a part of public expenditures.
The Airport Authority takes the recommendation of the city purchasing agent. The city purchasing agent is the purchasing agent by statute for the Airport Authority. And so therefore, if Councilor Braun wishes to shoot at someone over purchasing procedures, he in effect is looking at his own City of Duluth purchasing department.
The audit also says the airport has no official travel policy for its employees, and that it doesn't meet state regulations on accounting for possible conflict of interest by board members and employees. Grinden says the authority simply follows city policies. Braun, however, has a different view.
And the audit refers into 5 different places where they don't have policies for particular items. And my understanding that they don't have a policy manual.
Braun says he has a list of 7 questions to bring up at the next council meeting, and he's hoping that some type of formal action can be taken. John Schottel, Channel 3 News.